absolutely no one was watching, Cade Cunningham has become the most underrated young star in the NBA today, and to me, it's not even close. Cade just turned 23 years old. He is a 6'6" point guard with a 7-foot wingspan, and he's also a former first-team All-American and #1 overall pick who has a serious problem. He just so happens to have been cursed with joining one of the worst franchises in the current NBA. Last season, the Detroit Pistons won just 14 games, and they set the record for the longest losing streak in a single season with 28 losses in a row. But we have seen this before. DeMarcus Cousins was a force on horrible Sacramento Kings teams, and he never got a chance to show that stardom on a contender due to injuries. On the positive bright side, Anthony Davis was on mediocre Pelicans teams for years before he was finally freed, and the season after he was traded, he won a championship with the Los Angeles Lakers. This kind of thing happens. You can't decide who you get drafted to. Sometimes young stars get trapped on bad teams early in their careers, but despite this situation, Cade Cunningham has been an extreme bright spot. His potential at this point is undeniable, as listen to this. Only 6 players in NBA history have averaged at least 23 points, 9 assists, and 7 rebounds per game for a full season, and those numbers have only been put up 16 times total. And wouldn't you know it, this season Cade Cunningham is averaging 23.9 points, 9.6 assists, and 7.3 rebounds per game on a Pistons team that is no longer awful, just bad. Which means Cade is not only on pace to join a list of all-time NBA greats, I mean, look at these names: Luka, James Harden, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, Oscar Robertson, and Russell Westbrook, but also, even with a questionable roster at best, the Pistons are slowly growing to relevancy again. Not every star rookie gets to be drafted by a team like the Oklahoma City Thunder. Some need to struggle through the rebuild, but here is where things get even more interesting, because let's play a game here. Let's take a look at Cade and compare him to mystery players B, C, and D. All of these stats are at the ages of 23. Can you guess who players B, C, and D are? Well, B is Russell Westbrook, the king of the triple-double and a man who took a tremendous leap, becoming the NBA's MVP. C is James Harden, one of the best offensive guards we have ever seen, and another MVP. Then D is none other than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the current franchise star of the Oklahoma City Thunder, who the Thunder have built the top team in the Western Conference around. When Shai was 23 in the 2022 season, the Thunder were just 24-58, but the next year, Shai's numbers jumped to 31.4 points, 5.5 assists, and 4.8 rebounds per game as the Thunder themselves took a leap to 40 wins, and now they're the top seed in the Western Conference, even with Chet Holmgren not playing. Cade Cunningham has not only shown he belongs on this list of 23-year-olds who went on to true greatness, he's also been showcasing noticeable upward progression on the stat sheet, which means he is working, he is grinding, and most importantly, Cade Cunningham wants the pressure. He wants to be the face of the franchise. He wants to take the Detroit Pistons back from the bottom of the Eastern Conference to the absolute top. So what's up, Mike here, and I have one question for you. How can we really tell when a young player such as Cade Cunningham, who is playing on a bad team, is truly on the rise to become an NBA superstar and is not just putting up bad stats on a horrible roster? What we look for are noticeable improvements. We look for proof of off-season work ethic on the stat sheet. In the 2025 season right now, Cade has a box score plus minus of 3.2, up from just 0.3 last season, up from minus 0.7 the year before, and up from minus 1.6 in his rookie year. The same goes with his win shares per 48 minutes. This season, he is a career high in that category, and actually, he almost has the same total win shares through just 24 games, 1.7, as he did all of last season with 1.8. The 2 seasons before that, Cade actually had minus win shares, so combined in year 4, Cade has more win shares than he had in his first 3 seasons. This shows us that Cade's base numbers are not just improving here. His impact on the court has shown noticeable leaps as well. The biggest jump has been in his playmaking, and it's here where I think we really need to get the most excited. Because as a 6'6" point guard, Cade can not only read the floor easily due to his height, but also he is one of basketball's most unteachable skills. Not just elite basketball IQ, but the ability to see a play before it happens. That God-given mind that can notice a cutting big man for an open dunk a millisecond before the defense can react. That eyes in the back of his head type play style where no matter where Cade is on the court, if his teammates are open, he will find them. Again, the proof is in the stats here. This season, Cade has assisted on 44.7% of his teammates' shots while he's on the court. That is good for third in the NBA among eligible players, behind Trey and LaMelo and ahead of Nikola Jokic and LeBron. This is already impressive in itself. Cade is showing he can facilitate at the highest of levels, and we have to remember, the Detroit Pistons are not good. Cade does not have another big-time scorer to throw the ball to. In fact, only Malik Beasley has really been a consistent catch-and-shoot option for him. To be fair, Jaden Ivey is certainly emerging as a great player in his own right. Also, Jalen Duren has been a great catch-and-dunk guy. He's averaging under less than 10 points per game, though, so he is a great piece for a future competitive team. The point still stands that the Pistons have Tobias Harris and Tim Hardaway Jr. mainly throwing up bricks for Cade. Personally, I think playing on a bad team for a young playmaker can really deceive us. If you're a young scorer, you're going to get your baskets no matter what. However, what happens if you're a passer and your guys are just not making shots? Crafted NBA shows us even more insight into just how great of a passer and playmaker Cade is. According to their advanced stats, Cade is in the 96th percentile in passer rating and 99th percentile in creation. Passer rating refers to a player's pass quality, while creation rates the amount of open shots that player creates for his teammates. In terms of creation, Cade is third behind just Nikola Jokic and LaMelo Ball, ahead of stars such as Jalen Brunson and Ja Morant. Cade's passing ability is special, and with more talent on this Pistons roster, it is going to shine even more. Cade has gone from averaging 5.6 assists as a rookie to 6 in an injury-filled year 2 to 7.5 on one of the worst teams in NBA history last season, and now he's averaging 9.6, which is good for third in the NBA. And looking at just 23-year-olds in NBA history, only 7 have averaged at least 20 points and 9 assists per game for a single season. If we add at least 7 rebounds, that number would shrink to just 1, Oscar Robertson. Cade is of course on pace to join both of those lists. Everywhere we look with Cade in terms of passing, he is not only elite for his age, he is elite in general. In recent games, we have also been given the chance to see a glimpse of what a prime Cade Cunningham will be able to do. Against the Knicks on December 7th, playing against Jalen Brunson, Cade was the best player on the court for that night, scoring 29 points, dishing out 15 assists, and grabbing 10 rebounds in a 9-point win at the Garden. Then, just 9 days later, Cade went toe-to-toe with Jimmy Butler in the Heat and scored 20 points with 18 assists and 11 rebounds in a game that went to overtime after this.
They inbound to Jimmy Butler. The Hero rises and fires and fills it up. Tyler Hero with 5.1 to play.
But in overtime, he had a chance for revenge, and he did not disappoint. Down by 8 points with just 2 minutes left, Cade assisted on 3 straight Tim Hardaway Jr. threes. I guess he makes them sometimes. And then Cade himself did this.
Cade to the basket, hooks on the run, he hits it. Pistons are back up 1. Lobs it to Jimmy Butler. Couldn't score from closer, got his own rebound.
And it didn't hit the rim, so he can't.
5 seconds, 4 seconds. 3, Hero with a long 3. Off the rim. Rebound to Sar Thompson. An absolute thriller in overtime.
Cade Cunningham is clearly not only the go-to player for this Detroit Pistons team, he is the leader. He is the one who is going to get them wins even with a roster that is not ideal. And on offense, Cade has proven to be as good of a young prospect as anyone could ask for. This season, Cade has began to get legitimate all-star buzz, as on top of his playmaking, he's currently 18th in the NBA in points per game. He's shooting 38.6% from 3 on 6.4 attempts, and he's averaging just 0.3 less rebounds per game than a 23-year-old LeBron James. Russell Westbrook did not average more rebounds per game than Cade is currently averaging until Russ was in his 8th season in the league and was 27 years old. In the current modern NBA, we know talent across all teams has never been higher. With this, Cade is still producing at levels that are truly indicative of a superstar to be. Remember, He's already signed his major max contract extension. This is not the case of a season where Cade is playing for money. No, he's playing to establish himself as a great. So does Cade need to cut down on his turnovers? The answer is yes. He's averaging 4.5 a game, although to be fair, he also has an assist to turnover ratio of over 2. That is a good sign, but it can be improved. Does Cade also need to improve his defense? Yes. Crafted NBA has him in the bottom 10% of players in terms of their own defensive plus minus. They also have him in the 90th percentile in rim defense though, as using his height and wingspan, Cade's numbers resemble that of a top tier center. Players are shooting 8% worse at the rim versus Cade compared to the baseline level defender. So let's be clear, Cade Cunningham is not a perfect player right now, but who really is at 23? And so we're going to leave on this. Not only have we seen clear evidence that Cade can be a future superstar at the NBA level, we also have to remember that he came into the NBA seen as a future star. He is walking in the path that was expected of him. We've watched several #1 picks in recent years disappoint. I do not need to name names. You know who I'm talking about. Cade Cunningham was National High School Player of the Year in 2020 after playing on one of the best high school teams of all time, a Montverde team that not only had other NBA players such as Scotty Barnes and Day'Ron Sharpe on it. This was a team that went 25-0 with Cade leading the way with an average win margin of 39 points per game. Because of this, Cade was the #1 overall recruit in America. And then at Oklahoma State, he was a first-team All-American as a freshman. There have only been 19 freshmen in NCAA history to ever be named first-team All-American, and because of this, Cade went on to be the #1 draft pick, and now the Pistons have the opportunity to build a great core around him. Their first round pick this season is top 13 protected. Right now, they are projected to own that pick. On top of young players such as Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duran, they also have Asar Thompson, who has been out with injury, but has shown to be a defensive force. There is young talent on this roster, and there's even better news. If management can make the right decisions, they have the money to build a great core around Cade. Right now, the Detroit Pistons are not paying the luxury tax. In fact, they are at the salary cap floor, aka they're only paying 90% of what the salary cap is. With expiring contracts such as Tim Hardaway Jr. this season and then Tobias Harris next season, Detroit is going to be able to offer any free agent they want a big contract to come and play with Cade Cunningham. And as we know, players love to play with someone who gets them open shots, someone who is unselfish, someone who is not afraid of the moment, someone who lives for the win. Cade Cunningham is that man. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and turn on post notifications if you're new. Thank you for watching. You're awesome. We all know it. And peace.